Our heroes manage to flee the battlefield with help from the dragonfly-riding, poison-spur-wielding Lilliputian warriors, who, by the way, are called Tialis and Salmakia, and work for Lord Asriel. As they're recuperating, Lyra discusses the dream she had while she was comatose, which has inspired her to go to the underworld itself so she can apologise to the ghost of her best friend for indirectly causing his death. Will, who also has issues to settle, namely with his dead father, agrees to help her get there, and from this point on it becomes the focus of the plot. Right now, you're probably thinking, what about the freaking war on heaven that all the events of the trilogy so far have been leading up to? What, does it just get shunted into the background in favour of this much less epic existential soap opera type thread that's suddenly been introduced out of left field? The answer, regrettably, is yes. Philip Pullman, he writes like a moron, da 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 na 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 na. They spend ages discussing this, and by God is it boring. Also, Will gets Yorick to help repair the broken knife using a makeshift forge, while they're camping out in a cave. That's right, Yorick Burnison is able to repair the subtle knife in a cave, with a box of scraps! Sadly, awesome as it sounds, it's just as boring as the rest of this part of the book, if not more so, because Pullman describes the entire process, step by step, in excruciating detail. Just a quick note, in the original Frankenstein, Mary Shelley didn't say anything at all about how the monster itself was actually created. Why? Because it's not important! Once the knife is whole again, they finally set out for the underworld. Tialis and Salmakia, after failing to convince them to go with them to Lord Asriel, tag along to keep watch, but Yorick stays behind. Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him well, an armoured polar bear warrior king of infinite awesomeness, of most excellent badassery, even though he didn't actually do anything awesome or badass in this instalment, which is kind of a bummer. Next, we cut to Lord Asriel's fortress, where Mrs. Coulter has been taken after being captured by his army during the skirmish. Lord Asriel takes her to see an experimental aircraft his engineers have been working on, because, well, he's a show-off, I guess. Mrs. Coulter asks to be let inside the cockpit and shown the controls, and, wait for it, Lord Asriel complies. Yup, apparently he's smart enough to organise a pan-dimensional revolution against God himself, but not smart enough to realise that putting an immensely wicked and devious woman, whom he's supposed to be keeping prisoner, at the helm of a super-powered experimental aircraft is a bad idea. Philip Pullman, he writes like a moron, da 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 na 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 na. This ends about as well as you'd expect, and Mrs. Coulter successfully escapes. Next chapter, we cut to Mary Malone, who learns that the seed pods the Malefa use as wheels also grant them the power to see dust. She uses oil extracted from the seed pods to create a device so that she too can see dust. And once again, Pullman takes us through it every step of the way, this time in even more excruciating detail. Yeah, because what preteen wants to read about armoured polar bear warriors kicking ass when they can read DIY instruction manuals instead? Truly, Pullman is in touch with his target audience. The device in question is the titular amber spyglass. Its importance to the plot is minimal at best, so I have no idea why it's considered worth naming the book after. You might think it's to tie in with the theme of naming books in the series after magical artefacts, but this theme didn't actually exist at first, as the Golden Compass was called Northern Lights in its original UK publication, and was changed in the US, and later in the UK, to be consistent with the latter two books, not the other way around. So, yeah, there's no real reason. Wait, actually there is a reason, and it's the same reason why everything else in this book is the way it is. Philip Pullman, he writes like a moron, da 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 na 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 na. Also, why does she call it a spyglass and not a telescope? Remember, she's from our modern day world, not Lyra's Victorian steampunk-esque one. Isn't spyglass a little old-fashioned? It's like saying atomic instead of nuclear. Next chapter, we cut back to Will and Lyra, who, while exploring the multiverse looking for a way to the underworld, discover a village whose residents have all been massacred. And no, there are no dead babies on spikes. They attempt to flee into another dimension, only to find that it's identical to the one they just left, except for the fact that it's inhabited by the ghosts of the recently slaughtered villagers, meaning they've found their way into the underworld. By accident. Somehow. Yeah, that's convenient. Philip, Pullman, he writes like a... Oh, fuck it. They follow the ghosts to a filthy, ramshackle town where people who've come to this world before dying must wait until they kick the bucket before they can progress to the afterlife proper. I actually really like the concept of a dark, decaying suburban sprawl on the fringes of Hades. The atmosphere in particular is absolutely incredible and shows off Pullman's skills as a writer to the full. It's times like these that make me wonder what this book would have been like if Pullman's ego hadn't derailed it. In this town, we learn that everyone has a spirit called a death bonded to them, kind of like a demon, except that their job is to guide them to the land of the dead. Usually they're invisible, but Lyra manages to summon hers and persuade it to take them there without them actually having to die. Next chapter, Mary Malone investigates why the wheel pod trees are dying by climbing to the top of one of them and using the amber telescope, Spyglass, to watch the flow of dust which pollinates the trees. As it turns out, dust is flowing in the wrong direction so that it doesn't reach the flowers. Then we cut to Will, Lyra, Tialis and Salmakia as they prepare to set out for the land of the dead. Salmakia explains to Lyra that she and Tialis are willing to accompany them even if it kills them, leading to a very strange moment where, because of this one short little motivational speech, Lyra suddenly starts waxing lyrical about how Salmakia is like the mother she never had, despite the fact that A, she's only known Salmakia a couple of days at the most, and B, they spent most of that time arguing incessantly. Yeah, apparently you can turn almost strangers you don't get along with into soul buddies just by giving a little spiel about how you're going to stick by them. I really ought to try that sometime. Lyra's death guides them to the shore of a great lake, whereupon he vanishes, and the withered old man appears to ferry them to the land of the dead in his rowing boat. Get it? As in the ferryman of the dead? You know, like Charon from Greek mythology? Haha, I am so well read. Charon, I might as well call him that, tells Lyra her demon's not allowed to come with her to the land of the dead, and she's forced to leave him behind, which means having part of her soul separated from her. Will also uses his demon, because all sentient beings have them, it's just that most can't see them, and despite this it's just as painful an experience for him as it is for her. It's beautifully written, and should by all means be very moving, but Pullman uses flowery language so excessively that it fails to pack a punch in places where it's actually warranted because the reader is accustomed to seeing such hyperbole in fairly mundane contexts. That's it for me this week. Until next time, thanks for watching, and goodbye!